Most people think disappointment hurts their confidence because of what happened. But the deepest impact actually comes afterward, in the meaning you attach to the experience and the story you begin building around it. And most people never even realize they are doing it. Here's what I mean here. There are two versions of the same event. You can either have version 1, which is I didn't get a promotion. That is one sentence. That is the event. Or you can have version 2. I didn't get a promotion, which means I'm not good enough, which means I should probably stop trying. And that paragraph that follows, that's what it actually dims your confidence. Not the thing that happened, the meaning you attach to it. And today I'm going to show you exactly how that happens and most importantly, what to do to move through it. Before we go any further, I want to give you a different way of thinking about confidence because I think most people misunderstand what it actually is. Confidence is not a feeling you either have or you don't. It's not a personality trait. It's not something you're born with or without. Confidence is the relationship you build with yourself through lived experiences. Every time you do something difficult and come through the other side of it, your trust in yourself deepens a little more. You start building the quiet belief that you can handle challenges, adapt, recover, figure things out, and over time, that becomes confidence. Which is why disappointment can affect us so deeply. Not just because it hurts in the moment, but because it can start changing the way we see ourselves if you're not careful. One difficult experience becomes a reference point. Your mind starts returning to it, interpreting future opportunities through it, holding back in ways you don't always realize. And when that happens, the story can start reinforcing itself. You stop fully backing yourself. You stop giving yourself new experiences that could challenge the old narrative. This is the cycle I want to talk about today. Because disappointment changes the way we see ourselves in a very few specific ways. And once you can recognize those patterns, you can start changing them. I've talked on these channels about confidence with you before, and some of you already know part of my story, but let me just be direct with you today. I started my life with a lot of natural confidence. It was just there, built on things that I went for and worked out for me, and sadly, slowly, through disappointments, for things not going the way I expected, it started to fade. Not dramatically, but quietly. And then one day I looked up and I was genuinely a shadow of myself. And at that point, the way I saw myself had changed completely. I'd stopped trusting my instinct. I was holding myself back in ways I didn't even fully realize at the time. Missing opportunities, second-guessing myself constantly. My mind had become so focused on everything I thought I'd done wrong that I lost sight of everything I'd once believed about myself. I lost connection with my own strengths, with my own values. And without realizing it, I started making myself smaller. And it is a very difficult place to be. And I would not wish that experience on anyone. But also want you to know that it is possible to reboot from there. It is possible to reconnect with yourself again. And everything I'm sharing in this video comes from having lived through that process myself. If any of this resonates with you, even a little, you are in the right place, because what I'm about to share is going to really help. From my experience, there are 3 specific ways disappointment dims your confidence. And once you can name them, you can actually do something about them. But before I get into it, if you're here and if you're new, this channel is about everything from confidence, reinvention to navigating the in-between season of life and careers. So please hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss what's coming up. Thank you so much. Now let's talk about the 3 things. Disappointment changing the way you see yourself in 3 very specific ways. Once you can see each one clearly, you stop being at the mercy of them. Number 1, it shrinks your sense of what's possible for you. Number 2, it turns disappointment into identity. And number 3, it breaks the link between effort and trust. So let's go through each one. When you have evidence from your past that things don't go the way you wanted, that you've tried and it didn't work, your nervous system starts applying an invisible brake on future attempts. Not because you have stopped wanting more for yourself, not because you have given up, but because your nervous system is doing exactly what it is designed to do, which is protect you from pain. So instead of taking the full shot, you either don't take it at all or you take an half-ass one that feels emotionally safer. And here's how this connects directly to confidence. If you stop trying, then you stop generating new evidence. And if you stop generating new evidence, the story you hold about yourself never gets updated. Your brains keep referencing the old data, which is the disappointment, as proof of what you are capable of. And the story stays the same because you never give yourself the chance to experience something different. You can't rebuild evidence for yourself from the sideline. You have to stay in the game. Luckily, some of you have people around you who will call this out and just give you the nudge you need. But if you don't, you need to learn to give it to yourself, because the opportunities that were made for you will not wait for your nervous system to feel ready. Now let's move on to the second thing. The second thing disappointment does is turning disappointment into identity. And this is where the damage goes deepest. Before the disappointment, you were the person pursuing something. You were the person going after a goal. And then when that goal didn't happen, you become, in your own mind, the person who failed at it. The attempt gets absorbed into who you are, and the failure becomes part of your internal narrative, not as a thing that happened, but as evidence of who you are. This is how one disappointment can quietly rewrite years of previous successes. Because the brain doesn't just add a new data point, it starts applying it retroactively. Suddenly, you're not the person who did all those things well before. You're the person who failed at that one thing. And somehow, that one moment starts overshadowing everything else. I've seen this so many times. A missed promotion, a failed launch, a door that didn't open. And instead of that being something that happened to you, it becomes something that you carry as a verdict on yourself. I've discussed this before. What happened to you, it's not the same as who you are. The outcome is part of your story, not the whole story. Losing a client, a contract, a promotion, an opportunity, that does not make you someone weak. But only you can decide that. Your brain will not make that decision for you. You have to consciously choose a more accurate story. Now, the first thing that disappointment does is to break the link between effort and trust. And this this might be the hardest one of all. You know, we are taught from childhood, if you work hard at something, you will succeed eventually. Most of us have integrated that as a truth. So when we work hard and it doesn't work, the logic collapses. And the question then that follows is, what is the point? Why put everything into something if the outcome isn't guaranteed? And here's how that connects to confidence. When you stop trusting that effort leads somewhere, you stop investing fully. When you stop investing fully, you start producing results that reflect that. And those results go straight into the story your mind holds about yourself as more evidence that you can't do it. And the pattern starts reinforcing itself. And here's what I want to offer to you instead. With time and experience, I've come to believe that we sometimes chase goals that were never ours to begin with. Goals that looked impressive, that will make other people proud, that check the right boxes externally, but weren't really aligned with who we are. I talked on this channel about how I spent years doing exactly that. And when those things didn't work out, the disappointment hit hard because I had put everything in it. But looking back, the path that closed always led me somewhere better. At first, I was deeply disappointed that I didn't get that role I thought I really wanted. And then weeks later, something appeared that I hadn't even seen coming, and it was a better fit for me. And I was grateful for the first door to close. If something didn't happen for you, maybe it wasn't yours. Maybe you weren't asking for enough. Keep going, because if you're not okay right now, it is not the end. That perspective won't take the pain out of every disappointment, but over time, it can help you stop seeing closed doors as proof that something is wrong with you. Now that you can see the bravery, it happens. Let's talk about what it actually looks like on the inside. Because the most dangerous part of this isn't the disappointment itself, as I already said. It is what you do with it in your own head, quietly, long after everyone else has moved on. Like I mentioned before, confidence doesn't collapse in one single moment. It erodes quietly through the stories you keep telling yourself on repeat about what happened. The event itself is rarely the problem. It's how you process it. And some people feel the disappointment and sit with it and move on within a day or two. And others replay it for weeks. They go over what they should have said, how they should have acted, what they would do differently. And that even starts to follow them everywhere, like something tattooed on a forehead they believe everyone can see. But here's a little reality check for you. After about a week, you are the only one still thinking about it. Everyone else is too busy with their own life to remember something that happened to you a month ago. The audience you are performing this shame for, they moved on. Only you haven't. And every time you replay that story, you deepen your attachment to that version of yourself. You keep strengthening the same interpretation of what happened and what it says about you. And over time, that starts shaping the way you see yourself. But it does not have to stay that way. But how do you start rebuilding your confidence after disappointment? I think it begins with a few important shifts in the way you process what happened. Number one, process the emotion, don't numb it. If you actually cared about what you went after, disappointment will hurt. That's not weakness, it's evidence you were invested. But here's the confidence piece. Emotions that aren't processed don't disappear, they stick. They become a fixed part of the story you tell about yourself. So feel it, name it, let it move for you. That's how you stop it from becoming permanent. Number 2 is to separate what's in your control from what isn't. Sometimes you do everything right and still don't get the outcome. A competitor had a connection you didn't know about. The decision was made before you walked in the room. You cannot control that. And this matters more than people realize, because not everything that happens is a reflection of your worth, your talent, or your potential. Sometimes external factors are exactly that. They're external. If you internalize every disappointment as proof that something is wrong with you, then you start carrying stories that were never fully yours to carry. Be honest about what you could have done differently, but be just as honest about what was never yours to control. Number 3 is to extract the real learnings. This is where the stories start changing. What went well? What would you do differently? What is this experience trying to teach you here? Sit with it properly. Reflect on it honestly. Because when you extract growth from a painful experience, it stops being just a disappointment. It becomes part of your evolution. And number 4 is actively rebuild the evidence. Audit your wins. This is the most direct confidence rebuilding tool I know. It is consistently underestimated. Write down your wins, not just the recent one, but all of them. Go back further than you normally would, because disappointment narrows your perspective. It makes you focus so intensively on one moment that you lose sight of everything else you have already accomplished. And if the story you keep telling yourself is still centered around failure, change the story. Not by pretending the disappointment didn't hurt, but by seeing it in a fuller, more honest way. You're not defined by one difficult chapter. You are someone moving through life, learning, evolving, rebuilding, becoming. And the way you choose to interpret this moment will shape the way you see yourself moving forward. Rebuilding confidence is not about pretending the disappointment didn't happen. It's about refusing to let it be the only thing your brain remembers. I'm going to be going much deeper on all of this in a live workshop I will run in July this year. I will share some details with you very soon. If you want to be the first to know though, drop me in comments below or hit the subscribe button. Before we finish, here's the thing I want to leave you with today. Confidence is not something you either have or don't have. It is shaped by the way you interpret your experiences, especially the difficult ones. And disappointment has a way of changing that interpretation if you don't consciously walk through it. Your mind will always try to protect you from being hurt again, but sometimes that protection keeps you stuck in an old story about yourself that no longer reflects who you are becoming. And part of the work is recognizing when that is happening, then slowly learning to separate worth from the outcome and trust yourself again. If this resonated with you today, share it with someone who might need to hear it too. Thank you again for watching this video. I will see you next week. Bye. Thank you for joining me on the Level Up with Virginie channel. For more insight on how to build a life that is truly yours, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.